The Enzo Fernandez, Marc Cucurella and Chelsea situation keeps getting wilder and wilder every other day with every other interview and with every other match that Chelsea has. And now that the international break is over and Chelsea are back to regular schedules and have a lot of games, a lot of important games lined up. First is against Port Vale in a few hours. There's the game against Man City. There's the game against Man United. And then an important end to this season lies ahead. But so far in the international break, it's been a tremendous week or two for Chelsea, especially with the Enzo Fernandez interview, then the Marc Cucurella interview, and then the recent Moises Caicedo interview. And after all that, what has happened with Rosenior and his pre-game interviews for Port Vale, and what he said about Enzo Fernandez, we've got a lot to talk about, and we've got a lot to cover. Because there has been so much news and so many briefings coming in from every side in this story that it's become not merely confusing, but it's become more frustrating for Chelsea fans. And it is not only frustrating nowadays, it's become a whole mess of a situation between the club, the fans and the players. And it has sparked so many debates in the footballing world, in the footballing media. You just can't ignore it. So let's track the timeline of these events. So Chelsea dismissed Enzo Maresca, the beloved coach, who the team was also behind on the very first day of this year, of 2026. And then Rosenior comes in, has a bright start to his tenure at Chelsea, but then his Chelsea teams keeps failing and failing and failing in all their ventures, in all their games. They have a record loss against PSG, 8-2. And then they keep losing, even losing 3-0 to Everton away. And ever since then, Chelsea just have not been the same team that they were in the first half of the season. They've become a shell of that team. And questions then were raised against Rosenior and the club's management, the club's recruitment strategy, the club's ownership, and all the steps that they've taken ever since coming in, the dismissal of the coaches and the recruitment of players, the appointment of managerial staff, the appointment of sporting directors and their role in the transfers. It has been a whole big controversy. And after that, Enzo Fernandez, while he's away playing for Argentina, does an interview content thing on a live stream and admits that he would like to go to Madrid one day because it's similar to Buenos Aires, and that disappoints many Chelsea fans. It doesn't surprise many Chelsea fans because he's not had the success that he'd want to have at Chelsea. Then Marc Cucurella does an interview and says that he couldn't deny Barcelona if they offered him a place in their team. And also he raises questions to the Chelsea management, the Chelsea ownership over their moves that have been since they've taken over. He basically voices the fans' complaints against the Chelsea management and the ownership. And then Moises Caicedo does an interview where he says that he's happy at Chelsea and he would like to fight for the team, but whatever happens in the future, he will see. And he says he'll see about 4 or 5 times. And after that, Rosenior in the pre-game conference for Port Vale tells the media that Enzo Fernandez has been suspended by Chelsea for 2 games because of his comments, but he would not be stripped of the vice captaincy of the team. He still remains one of the leaders of the team. He's still training with the team, but he won't be playing in those 2 games against Port Vale and a crucial game against Man City. A game where Chelsea would be missing one of their senior players, one of their best performers, if not their best performer of the season. Enzo has been Chelsea's highest scorer besides João Pedro this season. And he has been one of Chelsea's pillars ever since he's joined Chelsea 3 years ago. And Rosenior also says that Cucurella's comments were understandable, but he should have aired all those complaints to his face, to Rosenior himself, not to the media first. And now we come in to the fans' roles, the fans' complaints, the fans' side in the story. And the side that the media has been able to cover, because there have been so many perspectives, so many point of views in this whole story. First of all, we look at Enzo's side. So Enzo gives that interview, disappoints many Chelsea fans, disappoints many critics, players, journalists, former players. It's justifiable that people are disappointed that the vice captain of a team is talking about moving to some other place, especially given that he has had links in the news to the biggest team from that city, Real Madrid, and Enzo Fernandez I'm talking about. But as his agent Javier Pastore says, can you blame Enzo for answering a question about where he would want to live in the future? He can't deny answering all those questions that are posed to him. It's not like he's committed a crime or something. He hasn't said that he's unhappy at Chelsea. He hasn't said that he doesn't like Chelsea. He has raised some questions around Chelsea ownership. He has basically alarmed. He's basically alarmed the Chelsea ownership and the fans that if major steps are not taken to achieve the success that the club had guaranteed Enzo when they signed him 3 years ago as a franchisee player, and he has been a franchisee player as I talked about in my last video, Chelsea have not had that success that Enzo would have liked to see. And Enzo is now entering his prime years. Enzo is entering the level that Enzo is entering the age where he would be at his level best, and he would desire to play in perhaps the best teams in the world. And Real Madrid will always be one of those teams. Chelsea at the moment do not show any signs of being a top team, of being one of the best teams in the world. Given there's so much mismanagement, given there is so much, given there are so many issues in the recruitment and the strategy of the club, with the aims of the club. And for the past few months, the briefings in the media have been that Chelsea want to qualify for the Champions League this season. Now they lost out of the Champions League this season too, brutally, after that loss to PSG. But they want to qualify for the next season, and winning trophies might not be the top priority of the club at the moment. But Liam Rosenior at the recent press conference has said that Chelsea want to win now. So that contradicts what all stories we've been hearing in the media all this while. And it's like no one knows what to believe anymore. And Enzo's agent, as he argues, is that Enzo has been one of the top performers at Chelsea the past few years, which is true again. And he has given it his all to Chelsea, which is true again. And Enzo has contributed in many of the top games and many of the top moments in the success of Chelsea the past few years, which is again correct. Does saying that he would like to one day possibly move to another place, which has one of the best teams in the world, you can't blame him for desiring that. Is that a crime? I don't believe so. I personally don't believe so. Yeah, the fans might feel disappointed by that, but can you blame a player for feeling that way when the club has to deliver on their promises to him? When the club isn't at the level that he would like to be? Personally, and especially being a player with as much desire and ambition and ruthless desire to win that he has, would you blame him for that? I personally wouldn't. And then a lot of news come in that Enzo disappointed a lot of players by going this way, by saying all these things. I personally don't understand this. And now there was some news that Enzo has disappointed a lot of players by being so stern, by being vocal about his disappointments with fellow players and their performances in games. And we have seen this. We have seen clips from the game. We have seen during the game that Enzo likes to be very vocal about his disappointment in other players and his teammates. Could he be a little more courteous about that? He could be. But then you need a player like Enzo. You need a player with as much boldness, with as much audacity and as a daring of a player as Enzo to keep the team in check, to keep other players, keep the teammates in order. You need a leader like him to ensure that the team stays in that mindset. This team stays in that winner's mentality. The team stays as ruthless as he wants the team to be. And for that, if a player has to be as stern as he is, could you blame him for being so strict with other players? Could you blame him for being so unrelenting with other players? I personally wouldn't. And now we come to Marc Cucurella's comments, because he raises questions at the club's ownership and their strategy. He questions why Enzo Maresca was fired when every player believed in his project, when the players trusted him and his model. He says that Rosenior is not a bad coach, and he has good football ideas, but there isn't enough time to adapt to them. There isn't enough time to get those ideas running and thriving. And he is absolutely spot on with that comment, because Rosenior might be a good coach, but he simply isn't experienced as this. He isn't experienced enough to be at this level, to be coaching a club of Chelsea's level. This is the same problem that Graham Potter had, and he suffered the fate that he did. And Potter even said in a 2024 interview that the club was trying to make too many changes, trying to radically change the model of the club without even going about it in the right way, and not giving the right people enough time to get there. It was bound to fail. The model was bound to fail. Cucurella's comments have been spot on, and I feel like those have got the ownership in order. Those have alerted many of the senior figures at the club, especially in the management, in the directorial department of the club. And the fans have been overjoyed with Cucurella's comments. The only difference, I don't personally see much of a difference between Enzo's approach and Cucurella's approach. Cucurella's approach was much more diplomatic as compared to Enzo's. Enzo's approach was much more blunt and impervious to others' opinions. That's just a representation of the kind of characters the two men are. Both are two leaders of this club. As a fan of Chelsea, as a fan of the club, I need both of these players to be at this club. I need both of the players to stay at this club for many years, to contribute to the club's success. But if the club isn't going to deliver on its promises, if the club is going to continue with the same model that it has had for the past 4 years, we had some success with Maresca. That success rests, a large part of that success rests on Enzo Maresca's shoulders. All the trend that has been with the club in the past 4 years, if we continue with that, we are not going to win many of the trophies that we have won in the past 25 years. The approach that the club has had over the past 25 years, it has been ruthless. It has been that of a winner's, a brutal approach, even though it might cost the club in many ways at times. It may be unforgiving to many people, but it does deliver. You can say that the owners have the entire control with football clubs and their strategy, and the club will work according to their strategy. But come on, football is a fan sport, and the fans decide what happens with any club. With Chelsea, the fans have been largely disappointed ever since the new ownership has come in, and with their new model, it is not one of immediate success and winning big trophies. It is not that kind of a model, and it needs to be that kind of a model for the fans to be rallying behind the ownership, rallying behind the new management, the new directors. And at the moment, the club don't show any signs of being that kind of a club, having that kind of a model. And so many sides of the stories have been coming in, and so many different angles we're seeing. Can you really believe all that is in the media? Would you trust what is going on with the club? Would you trust anyone's words? Would you trust journalists' words? Would you trust Rosenior's words? Who do you trust in this situation? As a fan, it's a mind-boggling situation. And it is one that not only frustrates but worries the fans about the state of their club, about the future of their club. And it just puts the fans in a state of tension regarding the future of the club. Who would you even believe in such a situation? That is the biggest point that Chelsea have right at the moment. Anyways, that is it for the video. I just wanted to discuss what all has been in the media regarding the Enzo Cucurella Rosenior situation, and I'll see you guys really soon. This is Irish signing off again.